Okay, this meeting is being, okay. All right, I'm going to start letting some people in. Welcome, folks. We're just letting people in. We'll just start in another minute or two.
Hey, friend. Good to see
Hey, Greg.
you. How you doing?
Glad to be here virtually.
Is it raining where you're living?
It's raining, yes.
Better than snow.
Don't say that word. I want to hear that word. No more. My daffodils are blooming. Come on.
Nice. There's Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
I don't know why not. Oh, I might not be able to do this.
What are you trying to do?
Okay, let's see what this says. They continue eating. Terrific.
Are you trying to put your camera on, Sherry? Is that?
Yeah, why isn't my speaker working?
No, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I hear you, Sherry.
Okay. Eat now.
Are you trying to start your video? I could kind of send a request to that if you want to do that. Does that help? I'm not sure that's what you wanted to do. All right.
Definition audio.
One more minute, and when we
Got
get
my
started,
video.
I'll mute everybody. And I'm just going to give one more minute if there's anybody in the waiting room.
Maybe not. Huh.
Okay. Okay, I think we will get started. Our program is also on YouTube Live and will be on the library's YouTube channel if anybody wants to review it again afterwards. So welcome. My name is Mary Paige Lang-Klaus. I'm the director of the Ethelbert B. Crawford Public Library that's hosting this program tonight. And we're very happy to invite our guest who's going to speak to you tonight about the importance of focus. He has been seen by over 6 million people on The Late Show with David Letterman. And he's also worked backstage for Doug Henning's The Magic Show. And he is not here to trick you tonight, but to help you focus on what's important to you. So please join me in welcoming Greg Dwyer.
Distraction is a real big problem. I live here in Connecticut, and the other day I was driving in Hartford, and I used to see these signs that would say, "Don't drink and drive." And I've also seen signs that used to say, "Don't text and drive." And for the first time this week, I've seen signs on the major highways that say, "Don't drive distracted." So distraction is a real big problem, not only on the road, but also in the workplace and also in people's lives. Every year in America, 400,000 people are hurt behind the wheel just because they're distracted. They're driving the car and then they look aside and they get into an accident. 400,000 people a year. Sadly, 4,000 people die every single year. Last week, I read something that I've never seen before, and I was completely shocked. Most people pick up their phones or their tablets and they tap it or they swipe it or they click it over 2,000 times. That's 2,600 times. I was shocked by this article that I read last week. About 3 days ago, I was reading a book by Keith Barry, who wrote a book called Mind Hacks. And he said this, I just read this like 2 nights ago, that the average worker is wasting 12 and a half hours per week just because of digital distraction. That means they're at work, they're on social media. It's terrible. In fact, I read this a couple years ago that $650 billion is wasted every single year in America because people are not engaged at work. They are distracted. So here's the question I want you to consider tonight between the time of 6 to 7 or when you're watching this on a repeat. And here's the question. What is distraction costing you in your personal life or maybe even your professional life? That's the question I want you to think about. Now, I've been thinking about this for many years. I've been thinking about this over a decade. And when I first got started and I started thinking about this, I really thought that the answer to laser focus was discipline and willpower. I really did. And what I discovered is willpower and discipline are really good, but they're like lighter fluid. You know, you can put it on some kindling or on some wood and you can strike a match, but they don't last. People who use discipline tend to burn out, and people who try willpower, they don't really last that long. So I want you to be fully engaged in this presentation. This is very interactive. You don't have to take any notes because I have all the notes in a PDF that I'm going to give you at the end of this lecture. Everything is laid out, all of the outline, all of the main points. So all you have to do is participate. And the more that you participate, the more you're going to learn this. So I want to show you so that you really get this, that discipline and willpower will not help you with focus. So if you can do this, please stand up. Please stand up, get out of your chair. I'm going to do that too. Now, a lot of my audiences are live, so we'll have 10, 20, 100, 500 people in the audience. Tonight, you're either watching a replay or you're at home most likely, and we're thankful that you're here. What I'd like you to do is take your hands like this and then just clap along with me. So we're going to get a rhythm going, and let's see if we can be on the same page. Ready? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop, but I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to stop. I'm just going to stop. So some of you got it and some of you didn't. But what I'd like you to do is put your hand out just like this. See how my hand is out like this? And close it and make a fist. And take your finger and bring it straight up just like that. Now let's try that again because that's your thumb and this is your finger. So let's do round 2. Take your hand out like this and make a finger, but make a circle. See how I have a circle here? Here's a circle. So you should see the circle right there. And take the circle and put the circle right on your chin, just like this. Now I can't see everybody, but I can tell you this. This is your chin. This is your cheek. So I'm not sure if you got it right, but there are 4 types of people when I present this. The first type is the person that's really analytical. They're in their head and they're thinking about this. These are people that like to take things apart. but they don't necessarily put things back together again. And they are the people that get it right. They go right for the chin because they're really focused and they're really listening. The other type of person just wants to have fun. They just want to have fun. They'll put their circle over here, but they'll start laughing because, it's a fun little game. And then you have some people that are really empathetic. They feel bad that they got it wrong, but they also feel bad that other people got it wrong too. And then the last type of person is the person that's like, why are we doing this? And maybe they'll get it wrong, but then they'll bring their hand down like this. So how many of you can relate to one of these personality styles? Raise your hand. All right, great. How many of you wouldn't raise your hand no matter what I asked you? Okay, let's do this. What I'd like you to do is think about what is important to you. Think about something that you want to focus in your life. It could be in your personal life. It could be in your professional life. And I want you to use visualization and your imagination. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your hands like this. See how my hands are separated? And you're going to imagine that in between is the thing that you want. So some people, it's health. Other people, it's relationships. Other people, it's better emotional security or lack of anxiety, or it's more money or better lifestyle, better career. But what I'd like you to do is play along with me because this will be fun. Put your hands like this, and in between, I want you to imagine that what you want is coming closer to you. And as you're imagining this, I'd like you to bring your hands closer and closer and closer together. So you're visualizing, you're using your imagination as your hands are coming closer and closer together. And as you get closer and closer together, you are imagining that what you want is in your life fully and you're happy. So then finally bring your fingers and hands together like this, just like me. And then take a look to see which thumb is on top of the other. Now, studies show that if the right thumb is over the left, it means that you have a 90% chance of getting what you desire. If the left thumb is over the right, it means you're not going to get what you want, but you're pretty good looking and you're going to settle for that. All right, let's try it again. This time I want you to switch your thumb. So if you have the right over the left, I want you to do it the opposite way. If you have it this way, do it the opposite. So you're going to do those thumbs differently. You're going to switch. All right, so bring your hands together and think about what you want. And as you do that, you're going to bring your hands closer and closer and closer together, but then you're going to switch your thumbs. And it's going to feel a little strange and a little different for sure. All right. Now, here's what I know for sure. The other one was a joke. It's not true, but this is really true. If you want something different, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to have to do something different entirely to get what you want. So here's going to be something that's going to be very strange that you've probably never done before. Take your hands like this. Hopefully you can see me. And you're going to take your left, this is my left, you're going to take your left arm and you're going to cross it over the right, just like this, so it's crossed. All right? Now, follow me. If you can do this, not everybody can do it, but you're going to bring your hands down like this. Your thumbs are going to be facing the floor. And then as you bring your hands around and your thumbs are facing the floor, you're going to make a fist just like this. Now, I can't see everybody, so let me describe what this looks like. The pinkies are at the top, just like this, and the thumbs should be at the bottom, at the very bottom. Now, I want you to do this to take a look at which thumb is on top of the other. Just follow what I do. If you can do this, do it. All you have to do it slowly, is you just bring it up like this, and then you look to see which thumb is on top of the other. And now do this. Okay, we're not done. We're not done. How many of you want to know how I did that? So I'm going to show you how I did that. Now, if I was still a magician, I wouldn't show this to you because magicians never do a trick twice and they never tell how a trick is done. If you ever go to Vegas and you see David Copperfield, believe it or not, this is how he opens his show in front of his audience. So I'm asking you to keep this a secret and not to share this. So this is how I did it. I simply distracted you. So this is what I did. You can just look at me and you can follow me. You don't have to do this with me. Just look to see what I did. So I brought my hands out like this, and I brought my left over the right, just like that. And then what I did is I brought it down so the thumbs are at the bottom. And I said to you, if you're doing it correctly, your pinkies will be at the top. I went like that. And then I said, I let go of my hands at that point, and I said, your thumbs will be down here at the bottom, just like that. And when I did that, I let go of my hands and I regrouped it in a different way. But because you were distracted and because willpower and discipline weren't able to help you, you were fooled. So let's do this again. This time I want you to look when I do this, when I point to the thumb, I want you to focus on that so that you can see that this time, so you're not fooled this time, okay? Is everybody with me? All right, so you got your hands like this, and you're gonna take your left arm, and you're gonna cross it over to the right, and then you're gonna turn it just like this, and you're gonna hold it tight. Now watch me, because this is when I did the move. I said to you, if you're doing it correctly, your pinkies are at the top. Now watch this. I want you to realize that I don't have to do that because I've already fooled you. I've already distracted you. See that? And willpower and discipline didn't even help you. So everybody have a seat. Everybody have a seat. So this raises the question about multitasking. You know, multitasking is when you're doing this and you're doing that and you're doing this, and you're doing, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things at the same time. Should we multitask? Well, here's what the studies reveal. We can't do it really well, not at all. We think we can do it well, but if it's important, and this is the key thing, if it's really important, don't multitask. Now, here it is, April, right? And next week is tax day, April 15th. If you're doing your taxes the night before, you probably don't want to multitask. You want to be 100% focused on what's really important to you. Now, is it okay to do the laundry? Is it okay to talk on the phone at the same time and maybe cook a meal? Yeah, you probably can do it. But if it's really, really, really important to you, you shouldn't multitask. So if I was staring at my friend Fran, who's in the audience today, and I was having a conversation with Fran, I don't want to be looking at my watch. I don't want to be looking at my cell phone. I don't want to be looking around, because that tells my friend Fran, who I'm having a conversation with, is that she's not really important. So I do a lot of lectures for businesses and nonprofits, and I teach the staff customer service. And I say, you want to be focused on the person you're talking to, your customer, your client, your prospect, your boss, or the people that come into the library, or the people in your life. Because here's what I know. We cannot multitask very well at all. We're not really good at it. And so if it's important to you, and hopefully your loved one is important, or your boss is important, or whoever you're talking to is important, you don't want to be all over the place. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been on the phone with somebody and you're talking to them and you know they're not listening? You're like, are you listening to me? Well, they could be multitasking. They could be looking through social media, and they're reading the headlines as they're on the phone with you. Or worse yet, have you ever done that to someone else? And they're like, hey, are you listening to me? So we can't really do it. Let me show you what I mean. Take your hand like this in your finger and point it up in the air. I told you this was going to be interactive. So keep your hand up in the air and your finger pointed in the air. Now you're going to use your right leg. I can't see you, but I have my right leg extended off the floor. So my right leg is extended off the floor, and I have my finger pointed in the air. Now you want to move your right leg clockwise. So think 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5, 6, 7, 8. You want to hold your hand up in the air like this and move your foot clockwise. So that's 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And you want that to go round and round while you keep your finger pointing straight in the air. You don't want to move your finger. Now, while your leg is going around in a circle just like this, clockwise, your leg should be moving clockwise. You want to draw the number 6 in the air as your leg is going clockwise. Now, for most of you, I would say for all of you, you probably can't do it. You can't probably make the number 6 and also make your foot going around. It's almost impossible. So back in 1956, there was a guy by the name of George Miller. And George Miller said this. He wrote a paper, and it's all in my notes. We'll give it to you at the end. He called it the magical number of 7. The magical number of 7. And what he said in the lecture is that there are billions of bits of information that are coming at us at the same time. And we only focus on 7, give or take a couple. That's it. So we can't focus on everything. So years ago, there was an experiment called the monkey business illusion. I don't know if you've ever seen this. You can Google this. It's kind of fun. But they had a stage. And on the stage, they had 2 basketball teams. They had a group of people dressed in white jerseys and another group dressed in black jerseys. And they passed the basketball between the 2 teams. So the white team passed it through their team, and the other team passed it through their team. And the goal and the game was simple. All you had to do is count how many times the basketball got passed within the white team, which was wearing the white jerseys. So they did this experiment on a stage, and at the end, they said, how many times did the team pass the basketball? And the answer was 16. Some people got 15, some people got 14, but the correct answer was 16. And then they said to the people afterwards, did you see the gorilla? Did you see the monkey? So what happened was, in the middle of the passing of the basketball, a guy in a gorilla suit walked out, beat his chest, and walked stage left, and only 50% of the people actually saw the gorilla. It's amazing to me. Because they were focused on one thing, they couldn't see everything. So I don't have a gorilla here, I don't have a costume, but here's how it would look. If I asked you right now, wherever you are, to focus on 7 things that are red in your room, you would look around like there's a red diamond here. I have a playing card here that has a red diamond on it. There's a couple books in my library that are red. There's a flag in the corner that's red. So if you were to look around right now in your room for 7 things that are red, most likely you could remember that. It wouldn't be overwhelming. However, if I asked you to think of 7 things that were blue on top of the 7 things that were red, at this point, it kind of, gets close to overwhelm. You have to think about 7 things that are red. You have to think about 7 things that are blue. Some of you could do it because you have memory skills and you're able to chunk it down. But if then I came back and said, I want you to remember 7 more things that were red and 7 more things that were blue, a lot of you would be overwhelmed. Have you ever felt this way? Especially today in our world, where so much information's coming at you that you feel stressed out, you feel overwhelmed, and you just kind of feel like you just need to pull your hair out. Well, I'll tell you, the first time I ever felt this way was back in 1995, and I remember it clearly because I went to the Middle East for the very first time. A very good friend of mine invited me to go on a trip to the Middle East. I've never really traveled internationally, And it was one of my first trips. But I got to tell you, I felt completely overwhelmed. And the reason why I felt overwhelmed is because there was too much new information coming at me all at one time. The language was different, the food was different, the smells were different, everything was different. And I was feeling completely overwhelmed because there was just too much information coming at me. So my tour guide said to me, Greg, are you okay? I said, yeah, it's just too much. He said, be careful of the pickpockets. Be careful of the magicians, because when you're distracted and you're looking over here and you're looking over here and you're looking over here, what's going to happen is it's going to be easy for someone to steal your belongings. And believe me, they know when you are distracted and they will take advantage of you. Now, since then, I've been all over Europe. I've traveled for the last 10 years. I've had people put their fingers in my back pocket as I get off a bus. I've had people in Jerusalem actually pat me down and hug me, ask me where my wallet was. I've had crazy things happen to me over the last decade of traveling. But thanks to my guide, my friend, no one has ever taken anything from me. A few years later, I was actually guiding a trip in Bethlehem in the Middle East in Jerusalem. And we were walking out of a store, it was a gift shop, and we all got on the bus except for this one guy from Nebraska. He wouldn't get on the bus. And as he was standing outside the bus, a group of people were circling around him. One person had a postcard set for $1. Another person had a flute for $1. Other people had scarves for $1. And he was standing in the parking lot. Now, imagine this scenario, and these people are all around him trying to distract him. And that's what they really were. They were distracting him. And I said to him, I said, please get on the bus. Please get on the bus. And he wouldn't. For him, buying the flute for the $1 was the most important thing for him. And finally, he opened up his wallet. He made some change. He bought the flute. He got on the bus. And I was like, oh, I'm so happy he's on the bus. So that night we go to dinner and he comes up to me and he opens his wallet and all of his money's gone. All of it, completely gone. And I thought about it. How come he didn't listen to me? Willpower didn't work. Discipline didn't work. The fact that I begged him to get on the bus, none of it worked. For him, that $1 flute was the most important thing. Think of a triangle. Think of like a hierarchy of a triangle. At the top of his hierarchy, his triangle, was this flute for the $1. He had to have this flute. And for him, it was the most important thing. So what I call that is false importance. And what I know is if he was back in Nebraska and someone offered to buy or sell a newspaper or to ask him for $1, he would have simply reached in his pocket, took out his wallet and bought the thing or helped somebody out. He was a really nice guy, but he was distracted because people were circling around him. And what he thought was the most important thing, unfortunately, it really wasn't the most important thing. And there was something else that was working against him that he was not aware of. And it's what I call invisible patterns or invisible habits. Experts who study this say we have about 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. If you don't remember anything, this is startling. I remember a couple of years ago when I stumbled across this information, it literally changed my life. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday, if you're watching this live. We have 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day, and 90% of them, which is tomorrow, they're going to be the same. So here's what was happening to this guy. He was on autopilot. He wasn't thinking the big picture. Like I said, if he was back in Nebraska, he would have simply pulled out his wallet and made the purchase. But he had these programs or these invisible patterns working behind the scenes that were controlling him. 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day, and 90% of them are the same. Experts go on to say that 48% of our life is on autopilot. So here's what that looks like for me, and this is what it looks like for you. You eat the same food, you wear the same clothes, you take the same route to work every day, you talk to the same people. These are habits. 48% of our life is based on autopilot, so our brain doesn't have to think about what we're doing. And here's the reason why we tend to do this, and we all tend to do this. We want to be comfortable. We don't want to do something new because it brings anxiety. So we like the fact that we have these habits, and 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day, 90% of them are the same the next day, and 48% of our life is being repeated over and over and over and over again. It kind of reminds me, I don't know if you've ever watched the movie, but it kind of reminds me of the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. How many of you have ever seen this movie? I absolutely love this movie. So if you haven't seen the movie, I would highly recommend it. I watch it every February. But Bill Murray plays this guy by the name of Phil, and he's a weatherman. And he has to go to Punxsutawney, and he has to film and cover the groundhog. And so in the morning, the alarm clock goes off, and the music is Sonny and Cher. I got you, babe. And then he hears the announcer saying, "Rise and shine, campers, and don't forget your booties because it's cold outside." It's Groundhog Day, you know, and he gets up, gets out of bed, walks over to the window, and he sees everybody walking over to Nobbler Hill. That's the first day. Now, there's something you need to know about Phil. Phil is all about himself. All he cares about is himself. All he cares about is his career. So he's got all of these patterns that are working invisibly behind the scene. And the most important thing for Phil, if you think of a triangle, is Phil. It's me, 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 me. That's all Phil cares about is himself. And he's got these patterns that are running behind the scene. So if you've ever seen the movie, spoiler alert if you didn't, the next day the alarm clock goes off. Rise and shine, campers. Don't forget your booties because it's cold outside. And Phil says these words. Well, they must be playing yesterday's track. But he doesn't realize he's playing yesterday's track. Because the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, the sixth day, the 10th day, the 1,000th day, every single day, he's playing the same life over and over and over and over again. And he hates it. Once he becomes alive and once he becomes awake and once he realizes what's going on, he wants to do whatever he can do to break the pattern. He gets depressed. He tries willpower. He tries discipline. Nothing works. Nothing at all works for Phil. So I'm not sure if you're aware of your own patterns. Maybe you've been thinking about this while I've been talking about Phil. You know, I'm telling the story about Phil and you're thinking about maybe your own life. Like what patterns are in your life? Do you take the same route to work every day? Do you take the same or talk to the same people, I should say, every single day? Clothes, you have a lot of clothes, but you wear the same shoes or the same clothes and you repeat it over and over again. So here are some patterns I want you to be aware of. And it goes like this. Ready? I want you to think of a number between 1 and 10, like 3, but not like 3, between 1 and 10. How many immediately thought of 7? Most people do. Now I'm sending you a color. Actually, let me send you 2 colors. Are you thinking of red? Are you thinking of blue? Now I want you to think of 2 different geometric shapes, really simple, one inside the other, not like a square. How many of you thought of a circle and a triangle? So all of these patterns have been in my lecture for the last 30 minutes. I've been conditioning you using the number 7. Remember George Miller, the magical number of 7? I did that on purpose. Remember I talked about making a circle and putting it on your chin? That was the reason I told you to make the circle. I was conditioning you. Remember I talked about 7 red things in your room and 7 blue things in the room? I was conditioning you. Do you remember when I talked about the triangle and what was at the top, which was the flute? And I was also talking about Phil and how me was at the top of his triangle, and how the people surrounded the guy in Bethlehem. All of these were done as patterns to condition you to think of 7, to think of red, to think of blue, and to think of a circle and a triangle. Now, I didn't mean to trick you, but I just wanted to show you that this is how we condition ourselves, and this is how other people condition us as well. So back in, I would say it was in the 70s, I was at my grandmother's house, and my uncle picked up a quarter and he made it disappear. And I remember I was like so young, I was just amazed by the fact that he could take a quarter and just make it disappear. And the next year I got a magic kit. The next year I got a book on Blackstone. And from 4th grade all the way up to high school, the only thing that I focused on in my life was magic. And I got really good at it. I was doing birthday parties before I could drive a car. And while I was in high school, I worked backstage for Doug Henning as a prop manager, had to sign a survey, not a survey, but an agreement saying I wouldn't talk about the magical effects and how they did them. And I loved magic. But I had a change of heart. And the change of heart came about probably around the 80s, when I realized that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life deceiving people and tricking people. So I took another route altogether, went off and got a couple degrees, a couple master's degrees. And even though I love magic, I knew that I didn't want to be a professional magician my whole life. But then I realized a couple years ago that I want to help people so that they can focus on what's really, truly important to them, so that they are not distracted by themselves or also distracted by other people, so that they can reach their full potential. So I started a company called Diamond Mind Potential, and the main focus is to help other people focus on what's really, really, truly important to them. So with your permission, I want to share with you my simple plan. And it's very, very simple. And again, you're going to get the notes for this, so you don't have to write everything down. So the first step, hopefully you can see this over here. The first step is you have to identify what is important in your life. So I'm going to draw a triangle. So the first thing, and I know this sounds really simple, and it really is, but if you ask most people, what is really important to you in your life, most people would say, I don't know. So you can start simple. You can say, well, what's important to you now? Or what's important to you this weekend? Or what's important to you in the month of April as we're filming this live? Or what's important to you for this year? But the first step is to identify, and that's why I have a triangle and the I for importance, is the first step is to identify, hey, what's really important to me? Is it health? Is it relationships? Is it my family? Is it my career? Is it lifestyle? Like, what's like really, this is another way of saying, what do you value? You know, you can't value everything. You can't have 100 priorities. So what's important to you? So when I used to travel and I used to lead trips all over the world, the thing that was important to me was my passport. I would take money, and I would take my camera, my cell phone, and I would take a few things with me. I didn't take a lot of things. But I knew that the most important thing, which is at the top of the triangle, was my passport. Bubblegum would be down here, like bubblegum and mints would be way down at the bottom, right? And as you get to the top, it would be my money and it would be my cell phone. But at the very top, I knew that I didn't want to leave my passport somewhere. Now, I led trips and hosted trips, and I was a guide for many years, for 10 years to be exact. I've seen people lose their passport at JFK Airport, and we'd go walking all around JFK, and then they found out that they left their passport underneath their seat. I've seen it happen. I've been to Ireland when I've seen people leave their passport in their bag after they bought a beautiful sweater, like this sweater here is from Ireland. Someday they put their passport in their suitcase. The next day they put it in the back pocket. The next day they put it in the bed sheets or the pillow sheets. The next day they put it in the safe. So I realized not only do you need to know what's important, you have to make it a habit. And that's very important. So there's the H. Hopefully you can see that as a habit. So since we have 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day, and 90% of them are the same, I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to make sure my passport is in the same place when I travel every single time I go to Ireland, to Germany, to Israel, or wherever I'm going, to Greece. My passport is going to be in the same place every single time. And the reason is I don't have to think about it, because once I place it there, it's done. So when it comes to 45 to 65,000 thoughts in our life, we're talking about three things. And it's easy to remember these three things. It's TWA, like the airline. So I'm going to put a T here. That stands for thoughts. And over here is words. And over here is actions. So folks, this is your life. This is your life. It is thoughts, which you think internally. That's why it's inside the triangle, because nobody can see your thoughts. And then it's the words you say to yourself, and then it's the actions you take. So your life consists of 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. 90% of them are the same. You already have habits. If you're 50 years old, you have habits. If you're 60 like me coming up this year, you already have habits. If you're 30 or 20, you already have habits. You've been conditioned by your environment and by your own thoughts, your own words, and your own actions. Okay, so habit is the second. The next one is secret, and that stands for the S. So if I'm going to make a triangle here and put thoughts, words, and actions, I'm going to bring this down here. And this part right here stands for secret. Hopefully you can see that. That's the bottom part of the triangle or the diamond. Now, when I traveled, I kept my passport a secret in the sense that I didn't tell people where it was. Now, I will tell you, I had a money bag and I wore my passport underneath my clothes because I didn't have to go for my passport all the time, but it was in the same place. I knew it was important. I kept it a habit in the same place all the time, and I kept it a secret. I've seen people, drop wallets in the street and pick them up and say, "Sir, is this your wallet?" You go, "Oh no, that's," and then you tap your pocket, or you tap, worse yet, you tap your back pocket, and they know where your wallet is. So when it comes to this is a secret. So what's the secret? Well, I can't tell you because it's a secret, but I will tell you a story. There was a guy by the name of Eric Weiss. You probably know him as Harry Houdini. And when I was in high school, I loved Harry Houdini. Houdini was my idol. And Harry Houdini would get out of straitjackets, he'd get out of safes, he'd get out of trunks, he'd get out of all of these different contraptions. And at the height of his career, he was in London. And someone came up to him and said, "Would you escape from a safe?" And Harry Houdini had to think about this because he was at the top of his career. And he decided to take on the challenge. Now, there were three things about Houdini that I have to share with you. Number one, he knew his outcome. He knew what was important. That stands for the I. He had to escape. He had a saying that he said over and over and over again. My brain or my mind is the key that sets me free. And he kept it a secret. In other words, he didn't tell people what he was up to. So this is a true story. This is what happened. Harry Houdini was challenged to get out of the safe. And the safe was brought to the theater. The audience was there. The safe was open. Harry Houdini went inside the safe, and then he escaped out of the safe. True story. So the question I have for you tonight is, how did Harry Houdini, how did he do it? That's the secret. So I want you to think about this. Maybe the first question that you're asking yourself is, wow, like, how did Harry Houdini escape from the safe? That's a good question. But I want you to reflect upon this just for a moment. I want you to contemplate. I want you to reflect and ask yourself the question. Harry gets in the safe, the door's locked, and then he gets out. How did he do it? So just take about 15 seconds to think about this and to reflect upon this and ask the question, how did he do that? Okay, I'm going to tell you the secret, and I'm going to tell you how he did it. So here's the secret. This bottom part is the secret. So the first thing you have to ask yourself is not, how did Harry Houdini do it? That's a good question, but there's a better question. And the better question is this. Ready? This is going to blow your mind. What is a safe for? A safe is to keep people out, not in. Ever get locked outside of your car? It's a hassle, but most likely you never got locked inside of your car because that's not a problem. So Harry Houdini knew, because of reflection, that it was easier to get out of the safe than to get inside the safe. Had they brought the safe and locked it and asked Harry to get into the safe, that would have been hard, really difficult. But getting out of the safe, all he had to do is reflect and say, that's easy. It's easy to escape from the inside out. Now here's another secret. The safe was brought to Harry 24 hours before the audience ever got there. 24 hours. So Harry had time to reflect and to contemplate and to examine the safe before the audience ever got there. It wasn't like the safe was just brought there 10 minutes before showtime. It was brought there 24 hours ahead of time. 24 hours. So Harry Houdini had time to reflect. He had time to contemplate. And here's the last thing. Harry made a key that he used from the inside out for his escape. So those three things. Number one, he knew what was important. He had to escape. Number two, he said, my brain or my mind is the key that sets me free. He knew he wouldn't take on the challenge unless he knew he could do it. And then lastly, he kept it a secret because he thought differently, because he used contemplation and reflection. So here's my secret. My secret is this. This is not a diamond. This is simply a triangle. This is simply a triangle with a reflection below. So if I were to draw this, it would look like this. As above, so below. So this is a reflection of what is up here. That's all that is. So let me hand you the key that you already hold in your hand. And that key, here's the key, that key is reflection. That's all it is. So I'm looking at TWA, which is my thoughts, my words, and my actions. And this is not a magic trick. It's simply a watch. It is a pocket watch. And what I'm doing is I'm allowing my thoughts and my words and my actions to influence the watch. So right now, I'm thinking that the watch is going to go around in a circle. And it is. Now, the way that this is happening is not a magic trick. It's simply that I'm saying a circle, I'm thinking a circle, and I'm making very small movement with my hands to make it go into a circle. So I'm using thoughts, words, and actions. That's it. That's all I'm doing. And now I can say to myself, let it swing back and forth. And all I'm doing, this is not a trick, the only thing I'm doing is I'm simply thinking in my head back and forth. I'm saying to myself back and forth, and I'm getting the actions of back and forth. So my thoughts, my words, and my actions, it's my life. And this is time to reflect upon my life. That's all this is. And most people, in our crazy world today, most people don't have a chance to do this, and they don't do it. So every day, Monday through Friday, I spend at least 15 minutes reflecting on my thoughts, words, and actions to see if they are aligned. So whatever is important to me and whatever is important to you, you want to make sure that your thoughts, your words, or your actions are helping you go into that direction. Like TWA, the airline. You're going to get there because of your thoughts, words, and actions. You just want to make sure it's the right destination. So whatever that thing is, you have to make sure that your thoughts and your words and your actions are congruent with what you want. Because if you don't, you'll find that you'll be going into a different direction. So the way that I was able to create this in my own mind is I was able to come up with a deck of cards. I have a deck of cards here. There's 52 cards, but these cards are really special in that every single card has a different saying on every single card. Like this one says, there's only one rule in life, and that is to love yourself. Here's another one that says, the real beauty is within you. Now, some of you need to hear that. Here's another one. Be a visionary and be unique. So, oh, here's a good one. I love this. It says, I can and I will. So every day I pick up one of these cards and I use the card to influence me so that my thoughts, my words, and my actions are helping me. It's more than just positive thinking. If I have 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day and 90% of them are the same, be proud of yourself is a good one to have as a habit. So these are not for sale. You can get cards or you can make your own cards, but I use these cards to keep me on track so that I'm focusing on what I want versus what I don't want. So I'm going to need a volunteer, but before I get a volunteer, I want to explain one thing really quickly. And that is, when you're looking at the West, which we are here in America, the West tends to be focused outward, accomplishments, potential, getting things done. And so the West is focused on results. You know, you're focused on a destination, or you want to make your sales quota, you want to be good, you want to do whatever. So the focus tends to be outward in the West. In the East, the tendency is inward. It's meditation, it's contemplation, it's reflection. If you want to shine like a diamond, the focus should not be me, it should be we. So it's a combination of these two things. So once you get really good on knowing what's important to you and making a habit and keeping it a secret, the reason why you keep it a secret is you don't want to go around blabbing about what you're doing. The next step is to help other people. The next step is to reach out to other people and to help them. And the best way to help them is to figure out what's important to them. Now, when you talk to people, they're not going to tell you. You know, if you think of this as a triangle, this is going to be a secret. The thinking is going to be a secret, but you can listen to what they say, and you can also watch their actions. This is the key. You can't read their mind, but you certainly can listen to what they say as they say it over and over again, 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day, and 90% of them are the same. And then you watch what, and you say, you know what, I think I know what motivates this person. So I need a volunteer, but while you're thinking about that, I want you to know that we all want the same thing. We really do. We all want the same thing. Number one, we want to survive. And then after that, we want to thrive. So I'm going to share with you 5 symbols. The first symbol is a circle. Pretty simple. And that represents the sun. It represents wholeness. It represents health. You know, you talk to a person that's not healthy and they only have one goal in life. You talk to a person that's healthy, maybe they have 100 goals. But the person that's not healthy, that's what they want to focus on. So I'm going to ask you to think about what's important to you, and I'm going to look for a volunteer. Maybe it's health, maybe it's better longevity or better living or just feeling better in your body, right? That's the first one. Now, these are just universal. These are generalizations. This is what most people want. The next one is relationship. And that is 2 lines coming together. It could be love, it could be friendship, it could be family. You know, coworkers getting, you know, along with each other. So people either think about their health or they think about their relationships. The next one is 3 lines like this. It could represent currency, or it could represent abundance, or it could represent lifestyle or more money. You know, if you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of choices. The next one is a box like this. And that has to do with relationships. I'm sorry, not relationships. It has to do with emotions, being stable emotionally and not being off balance, like a firm foundation. And then lastly is a star. And a star is like your calling or your passion or your North Star, what you want to do in your life. So I need for us to open up the lines and maybe find a volunteer. If we don't have a volunteer, I'm sure the library might want to recommend somebody, or they can do it themselves. But I want you to think about something that is important to you. I had you think about this at the beginning. Remember, back about half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour ago, to think about what's important to you. Think about your health or relationships or your money or your lifestyle or your emotional life or your career or your calling. Do we have anybody that is willing to help us? Can we look in the chat, raise your hand? This will work if we have a volunteer. If not, we're going to close down the lecture right now. This is going to be fun. I promise I will not embarrass you. I will not embarrass you. So who do we have? Anybody? I don't hear anybody, don't see anybody. So we need are you going to volunteer? I think you have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'd like to do, thank you for volunteering. And thank you for hosting this tonight. I hope that you're getting something out of it. I hope everybody is. I want you to think of one of these 5 things. In other words, maybe it's health for you or someone else. Don't tell me. Maybe it has to do with relationship. Don't tell me. Maybe it has to do with currency or more money or a better lifestyle. Maybe you want to travel the world. Or it has to do with emotional health or career, or you're finding your passion. Can you think of one of these?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So I want you to imagine that this thing is just a hope. In other words, it's never going to come true. Can you see that? And how do you feel when you think of it that way?
Not good.
Yeah, not good, exactly. So now we're going to use these cards. I'm going to take my glasses off, and I know we're doing this virtually, so I have a deck of cards. Every single card has a positive affirmation in it, and there's 52 cards. I took out the Joker. I have my glasses off. I don't have any monitors in the room. I have no Confederates, anybody telling me what the card is. So if I hold up this card like this, I'm not going to be able to see it. Okay, I want you to know I'm telling you the truth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make believe I'm dealing the cards. So what I'll do is I'll just go like this, and then, you know, hopefully we don't go through the whole deck of cards, but we haven't worked this out in advance. And what we'll do is you just say stop whenever you want. Stop whenever you want.
Stop.
You want this one?
Okay.
Is that what you want, or you want me to keep on going?
No, that one's fine. I guess it doesn't matter.
Okay. So I'm going to bring this closer. I'm going to close my eyes.
I think you have to bring it closer. I can't really see it.
Don't say what it is. Don't say what it is.
I can read the number of the card. Oh, okay.
All right. Don't say what it is. Don't say what it is.
Okay. I
All
can
right.
read it now. Yes, I can read it now.
Okay. I'm going to take the card and I'm going to put it back in the deck, just like this, and I'll put the deck away. Okay. So tell everybody your first name.
Mary Page.
I'm going to put Mary. I'm going to put Mary on the back of this. Hopefully y'all can see. I'm going to put Mary right here. Mary. And Mary, we just met today. We communicated through email. I'm going to choose one of these. I'm going to take a logical guess, and I'm going to write down what I think. And I'm going to leave this right here so everybody can see, that I didn't move it. I didn't change it. It's right there. So Mary, you are thinking of something here, and you also picked a card. Now, I want you to imagine that the saying that you picked on the card would help you get what you want. You think it's possible?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let me just, it's either health, it's either relationships, it's currency, it's a better life, it's emotional, or it's your calling or your career. So I'm gonna take a guess that you could be really helped, Mary, if you really focused on this one thing in your life. Do you think that would help you if you really focused on that?
Yeah.
Okay. And I really get the feeling, tell me if this is true about the card that you picked, right? That that being unique could be the answer to this. Being a visionary could help you with this. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you impressed so far?
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think you'll be impressed with this. Ready? I wrote this down already. Did you choose health, the circle?
No.
I didn't think so. You look pretty healthy, and I didn't think that was you either. And the next one is the relationship. Was that what you were focusing on? I didn't think so either. And then the next one is the squiggly lines. It looks like bacon, but it really isn't bacon. Was that yours?
No.
I didn't think so. I didn't think so. And then the next one was the emotional. Yeah. So the last one is, right? Is that what you chose?
Mm-hmm.
Which is over here. And I'm pretty good at getting, watch this, everybody. Are you ready? There's her name. I just wrote Mary. And let's see, I'm going to bring this in really close. And there is the star. So once you figure out what's important to you and you make it a habit and you also keep it a secret, the next step is to really focus on other people. So I have a gift for everybody, and this is the gift. Here's the gift. I have notes, and the whole lecture from 6 to 7 There's many pages of notes. You can have it. All you have to do is email me. Mary's going to put it in the chat box. This is it. My first name is Greg, which is Greg. And then it's at Greg Dwyer.com. So I want you to remember my name. And an easy way to remember my name is just to put Greg, which is my first name, at Greg Dwyer. Dwyer spelled DWYER.com. I promise not to sell your information or to share it with anyone. What you will get, just send me an email tonight or this week. Say that you were at this library presentation. I'll give you the PDF of all of the stories, all of the notes, so that you can review this. And then lastly, we need a person to put a number. So the first person to put a number, I have some notes here. I have some notes from 1 to 20. If you could go and if you could monitor this, the first person to put in a number from 2 to 20. The first person, and I don't know who it is. I didn't ask anybody to do it.
You mean in the chat? Put it in the chat, you mean?
Somebody put a number in the chat. All you have to do is go in the chat and put a number, either 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's see if we can get a number. By the way, life rewards action without distraction. So please just put a number in the chat, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Do we have a number?
Mm-hmm.
What number is it?
20.
Okay, excellent. So this is what I did. I wrote down some notes. You can go to Greg at gregdwyer.com, send me an email. I have notes here that keep me on track. For instance, thank you for putting in 20, by the way. This says, number 2, distraction. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. This next one says willpower. That's, number 3. Discipline. Remember I talked about discipline. Overwhelm is in there because I talked about how we get overwhelmed when there's too much information coming our way. Patterns, that's another thing. That's on page 9. And I'll bring this closer so that all of you can see it. Red, I can't stop to think about red. Red is actually on page 11. So had you picked 11, we would be talking about red. But let's fast forward because I know our time is getting slow here. And what number was it?
20.
Okay, so 19 is connect. I don't know if you can see that. 19 is connect. And then we're going to turn the page. And believe it or not, I'm really happy to see this because the word, and I'll bring it in really close so that everybody can see it. And that word is focus. I know I'm in the dark a little bit, but hopefully, there we go. That word is focus. So let me tell you a quick story and then we'll wrap this up. 2 people were at a dinner. One was Bill Gates and the other one was Warren Buffett. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, they were sitting at a table and they asked them to pull out a piece of paper and they asked them to write down one word that represented what was important for success. And guess what word they wrote down? They wrote down the word focus, which is number 20 in the book that I just showed you. So there's 2 things I want you to remember tonight. One is my name, which is Greg Dwyer. And hopefully you can see that right there. And the other thing I want you to remember is this. Hopefully you can see it. Can you all see it?
Focus.
It is the word focus. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on this Zoom chat with me tonight. If you have any questions, I'm here for a few minutes. And just remember, focus is the key. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
I did unmute. I invited everybody to unmute. So if anybody has a question, you can either put it in the chat or you can just ask it out loud.
what would be the suggestion if there's a lot of overwhelm going on?
Overwhelm is because you're focusing on too many things. You're going to feel overwhelmed. I felt overwhelmed this week when my computer stopped and I had to remember my password. It's normal. You know, we do feel overwhelmed, especially with so much information coming at us. You know, there's more information in a Sunday newspaper than, you know, the people in the 1800s had in their whole lifetime. There's the internet, there's all the television channels, there's so much information, and it's easy for us to get overwhelmed. The answer is reflection, contemplation, meditation. You don't have to join a monastery. Sometimes it just means going for a walk, having some downtime. Or if you're like me, I spend every single morning, Monday through Friday, at least 15 minutes, if not a half an hour, just relaxing and focusing on my breath and living in the present and, you know, thinking about my thoughts, my words, and my actions in my life. You don't want to live in overwhelm, because if you're overwhelmed, it's because you got too many things in your vision and you can't do it. It's just like being on a trip to China or being on a trip to Japan. You've never been there and you're looking around and you're completely overwhelmed. So overwhelm is an indication that you're probably trying to do too many things. Does that help?
Yeah, I just always keep feeling like, you know, I have a huge project, which I won't go into, but
Okay.
I just feel like I'm constantly thinking this whole thing is going to take so long, you know? I'm always thinking about how long everything is going to take to complete.
Well, here's the thing. Is your name Tina? Is that who's
Yes,
talking?
yes, I'm sorry, yeah.
So it's okay, Tina. It's just that if you're saying to yourself every single day the mantra, right? You're saying to yourself, this is going to take too long. This is going to take too long. It's kind of the opposite of this card here that says, be proud of yourself. So you're the greatest hypnotist in the world. You are. Tina is the greatest hypnotist in the world. You're saying to yourself, this is going to take so long. You're thinking that. And then your words are confirming that. And then you're acting on it. So I would say change your script. And if this project is really going to take too long, just break it down into smaller steps, you know, for this week or this month. You know, I'm working on a project now. It's going to take a couple months, but I take baby steps. But realize thoughts, words, and actions, you're saying this to yourself. You're conditioning yourself like red, blue, 7, triangle, circle. Do you get it?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that is really helpful.
Thanks. Thank you, Tina. I appreciate the feedback. Anybody else? All right, I guess we're good. Unless anybody else has another question. Anybody has a question in the chat at all?
No, I don't see anything. I think
All right,
we're-
how are we doing for
that's it.
time? We're just like a little after 7, right? So we're good?
Yeah. Yep, I think so.
All right, well, it's been a pleasure. I hope you took a nugget of diamond out of this, something that you can use in your life. And please go to greg@gregdwyer.com and I will send you the notes tonight or this week.
Very good. Thanks so much, Greg.
Oh, thank you. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I had